Hey there! So yesterday afternoon, all of the kiddos were getting ready to take their naps. And usually, this is when Miss Mabel will start reading us a story. But right after she turned off the lights, we heard some really sneaky footsteps coming from outside. Then we saw these three little green faces with horns sticking into our room through the window. They were sleep goblins, and they were here to steal our blankies. You see, whenever the sun goes down, the villainous sleep goblins come out to steal the blankies from anyone that's sleeping. And then they go back to their goblin caves and sew them all together into one giant blanket burrito to keep nice and warm during the night. But not so fast, you little goblin thieves. Nunu has a plan to stop you. But first, he needs to get ready. He took his magic paintbrush and painted stripes of camouflage across his body. It matched perfectly with the shadows in the room. Then Nunu went over to his workshop and got to work. First, he had to build a vehicle for the mission. He took a leaf and made an aerodynamic body for it. He also attached a propeller to the end of a stick and attached it to the side of the leaf with sticky sap. Finally, he tied a little basket onto the bottom with some string. This would be perfect for transporting all of the stolen blankies back home. But vehicles don't run on their own. So next, Nunu needed a way to power it. He dipped his hand into his bag of tricks and pulled out his portable wind turbine. He hooked up the turbine to the basket and then to the propeller with 2 lengths of string. Now when the propeller spun, the turbine would spin and generate lift for the vehicle. The only thing left was to camouflage the vehicle. Nunu mixed together some dirt and water and daubed it all over the leaf body. It looked just like a big old rock. But the best part was it would blend in perfectly with the garden rocks outside the window. Nunu climbed into the basket and put on his lullaby camouflage. As soon as he started singing, the vehicle started to lift off. He had programmed the wind turbine to turn faster whenever he sang louder. It was genius. As he approached the window, Nunu could see the 3 sleep goblins sneaking around the house, looking for blankies to steal. One of them even had a pillowcase full of loot already. They must have gotten into Mrs. Grumbly's room already. But there was no time to waste. Nunu had to make sure everyone still had their blankies before nap time ended. That's when the sleep goblins start turning into bats and fly away for the night. Nunu crept up to the first window and peeked inside. There was poor Mr. Grumbly fast asleep with no blankie on his bed. Nunu silently floated over to his bed and gently placed the blankie back over him. He moved on to the next room. It was Miss Mabel's. She was fast asleep with her mouth open. Nunu didn't want to wake her, so he used his magic paintbrush to carefully push her blankie back over her face. Now he just had to get into the final room, but it was locked, and he didn't have any keys. Nunu tried to pick the lock with a twig, but it was no use. He had to find another way in. As he flew around the house, looking for an entrance, Nunu saw that the back door was unlocked. He floated down to the ground and quietly snuck inside. And there he saw the 3 sleep goblins stuffing all of the stolen blankies into a big sack. Nunu knew he had to act fast. But what could one little bumblebee do against 3 big mean goblins? Well, Nunu had a few tricks up his sleeve, literally. He took out his magic paintbrush and swiped it through the air. Poof! A big paint stain appeared on the ceiling right above the goblins. Startled by the sudden appearance of the colorful spot, the goblins stopped what they were doing and looked up at the ceiling. That's when Nunu took out his portable loudspeaker and cranked up the volume on his lullaby. The noise startled the goblins and they started swatting at the invisible source. All of this commotion ended up waking up Mrs. Grumbly. "What's going on?" she asked sleepily. "Who's up there?" The goblins froze. They couldn't let Mrs. Grumbly know that they were there. Otherwise, she might step on them in her sleepwalking state. Nunu took advantage of their distraction and started filling up the sack with rocks and pebbles that were nearby. Once it was heavy enough, he started making his way towards the window. The goblins noticed what he was doing and quickly ran over to stop him. But Nunu was too quick for them. He reached the window just as the sun started peeking over the horizon. As soon as the first rays of sunlight hit the goblins, they started to shrink and transform into their little baby forms. Nunu waited until the very last second. Then he zipped outside with the sack of rocks, leaving the 3 little goblin babies inside the house. Nunu flew back to the safety of the hive with all of the stolen blankies. Everyone was just waking up, and they were so happy to have their blankies back. Miss Mabel thanked Nunu for his bravery and for saving nap time. Then she gave all of us a big hug. And that is when Nunu realized being a hero wasn't about having super strength or living in a magical land. It was about helping others whenever and wherever you can. The end. Like and subscribe for more videos.